The TSS Invictus floated quietly at the edge of human space. Stars twinkled in the distance, their light bouncing off the ship's smooth metal hull. The massive warship was humanity's finest achievement, a perfect blend of beauty and deadly power. Captain Ju Park stood tall on the bridge. Her dark uniform fit perfectly against her strong frame. Her eyes, sharp from years of command, moved quickly across the glowing screens before her. The bridge hummed with quiet activity as crew members worked at their stations. Another quiet patrol, she thought, taking a sip from her coffee mug. The bitter liquid had gone cold, but she hardly noticed. Lieutenant Do-Yeon Kim suddenly straightened at his station. His fingers moved fast across his control panel, and his face grew serious. "Captain," he called, voice tight with concern, "I'm picking up something unusual." Park moved quickly to his side. "Show me." Kim pointed to a cluster of blinking dots on his screen. Multiple vessels approaching from Sector 7. They appeared suddenly at the edge of our sensor range. "How many?" Park asked, setting down her mug. Kim's fingers danced across the controls, gathering more data. "I count 33 ships, ma'am. Big ones. Nothing in our database matches their design." Officer Subin Lee turned from her communication station. "Captain, they're not answering any of our hails. I've tried all standard frequencies and first contact protocols." The bridge grew quiet. Everyone knew what this might mean. Humanity had met several alien species before, but first contacts were always dangerous moments. "Keep trying," Park ordered. "And sound yellow alert. I want all systems ready, just in case." A soft alarm sounded throughout the ship as crew members moved to their battle stations. The Invictus might look like just one ship against many, but appearances could be deceiving. "They're taking formation," Kim reported. "Definitely military vessels. Their weapons systems appear to be active." Park returned to her command chair. "Defensive systems on standby. Don't power weapons yet. Let's not appear hostile." Suddenly, the main view screen flickered. The image of the stars disappeared, replaced by an alien face. The creature had a reptilian appearance with scales that shifted colors in the light. 4 yellow eyes blinked independently at them, and a wide mouth filled with sharp teeth opened to speak. "Translator engaged," Lee announced. The alien's deep voice filled the bridge. "I am Supreme Commander Krasvik of the Lyran Empire, masters of 12 star systems and conquerors of all who stand before us. Your species has encroached upon our expansion territory. Surrender your vessel or be destroyed." Captain Park stood slowly facing the screen. The crew watched her carefully, drawing strength from her calm demeanor. "This is Captain Ju Park of the Earth Alliance vessel Invictus. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. This region of space is not claimed by any empire according to our records." The alien commander's scales flashed a dark red. "Your records mean nothing to us. The Lyran Empire claims all space in this sector. Your presence here is an act of trespass." Park kept her voice level. "We had no knowledge of your claims. We are willing to discuss boundaries and establish proper diplomatic channels." Krasvik made a sound that might have been laughter. "Diplomacy is for equals, human. You have 1 rotation to surrender your vessel and prepare to be boarded. If you resist, we will destroy you." The screen went black. The bridge remained silent for several seconds. "Well," Park said finally, "that could have gone better." Security Chief Junho Ba approached her station. "Captain, we should power up all weapons systems immediately. They clearly intend to attack." Park shook her head. "Not yet. Let's not show our hand too early." She tapped her console, bringing up the ship's specs. The Invictus carried technology no alien race had yet encountered. The quantum displacement drive, the adaptive defense matrix, weapons that could bend the very fabric of space-time. 1 ship against 33 should be impossible odds. But this wasn't just any ship. "Open a secure channel to Earth Command," Park ordered. "They should know we've made contact with a new species. Let's hope they're willing to talk after their deadline passes. She looked back at the screen now showing the alien fleet. Their ships were impressive, huge and clearly built for war. Tactical analysis. Lieutenant Kim worked his console. Their weapons appear to be plasma-based, powerful, but conventional. Nothing our shields can't handle. Park nodded. Maintain yellow alert. Monitor their movements. I want to know if they make any aggressive moves before their deadline. She turned to her first officer. It seems the Litteran Empire is about to learn a valuable lesson about human technology. Let's hope we can teach them without bloodshed. The bridge of the Invictus fell silent as the communication with the Lyran commander ended. The crew looked to Captain Park for guidance. Analysis of their fleet. Captain Park asked, her voice steady despite the threat they had just received. Science Officer Taehyun Lee bent over his scanner, his fingers moving quickly across the glowing surface. Data streamed across his screen as the ship's sensors gathered information about the alien vessels. Their technology appears quite advanced at first glance, Lee said, looking up from his station. I'm detecting plasma-based weaponry similar to what the Centauri use. Their shields appear to use gravitational manipulation to deflect incoming fire. He paused, studying another readout. But truthfully, there's nothing here we haven't encountered before. Engineer Minji Kang stepped forward from her monitoring station at the back of the bridge. Her uniform sleeve was rolled up, showing the burned scars that many veterans of the resource wars carried. Their ships still use conventional propulsion systems, she added, pointing to the engine signatures on the main display. Standard reaction drives, just scaled up to massive size. They burn a lot of energy to move those big ships. She shook her head. They have no idea what we're capable of. Captain Park stood silently for a moment, considering their options. The memory of Earth's recent history weighed heavily on her mind. Just 10 years ago, humanity had been locked in the devastating resource wars. Nations fought nations as Earth's materials grew scarce. Millions died. But from that darkness came innovation. When alien scavengers thought to take advantage of a weakened Earth, they found something unexpected: desperate humans who had developed technologies no one had thought possible. The quantum displacement drive had changed everything. It allowed ships to shift partially outside normal space, reducing their mass to almost nothing. The adaptive defense matrix could absorb enemy fire and repurpose the energy. These weren't just improvements on old technology. They were entirely new ways of thinking about physics itself. Run a full tactical assessment, Park ordered. I want to know exactly what we're facing. Their weapons would be devastating against conventional shields, Lee reported after a moment. But our adaptive matrix should handle it easily. Kang nodded in agreement. The matrix can absorb the plasma energy and redirect it to our own systems. Their attack would actually charge our batteries. Captain Park walked to the large view screen, studying the alien fleet. 33 massive vessels arranged in attack formation. To anyone else, it would look like suicide to face them with a single ship. They think we're outmatched, she said quietly. Lieutenant Kim looked up from his station. We are outmatched by conventional standards. They outgun us 33-1. Park turned to face her crew, a slight smile on her lips. But we don't fight by conventional standards, do we? The crew straightened in their seats, pride evident on their faces. Meanwhile, aboard the massive Lyran command ship, Supreme Commander Krasvik stood surrounded by his officers. The large chamber buzzed with activity as the aliens prepared for what they believed would be a simple conquest. Display the human vessel again, Krasvik ordered. A three-dimensional image of the Invictus appeared in the center of the room. The Lyran officers studied it with their 4 eyes, taking in its sleek design and unusual hull configuration. It is smaller than our scout ships, said one officer, his scales shifting to a mocking purple color. Scan results show minimal weapon ports, added another. Their defensive capabilities appear limited. Krasvik moved around the image, his clawed hand passing through the hologram. And they send just this one ship to face us. The command center filled with the hissing sound of Lyran laughter. These humans are either completely foolish or utterly insane, Krasvik declared, his scales flashing with amusement. Perhaps they don't understand what they face. The Lyran Empire has conquered 12 star systems. Species far more advanced than these humans have fallen before us. His second-in-command approached cautiously. Should we prepare boarding parties, Supreme Commander? Yes, Krasvik replied. I want their ship intact if possible. Their technology may be primitive, but it could still be useful, and I want prisoners to interrogate about their homeworld's defenses. He looked once more at the small human ship displayed before him. So alone against his mighty fleet. This will be the shortest battle in Lyran history, he declared, and the beginning of our expansion into human territory. If only he knew what that single human vessel could do. The time ticked away as the rotation period neared its end. Captain Park sat in her command chair, watching the Lyran fleet through the main view screen. The alien ships had spread out in a half-circle formation, surrounding the Invictus like wolves circling their prey. 1 hour left before their deadline expires, said Lieutenant Hyan Wuchoi, checking his timepiece. Park nodded. She had used the time wisely, studying every detail about the Lyran ships that their sensors could detect. Her crew had run simulations and prepared all systems. They were ready. They're moving again, Choi reported, his eyes fixed on the tactical display, tightening their formation. Classic encirclement pattern. The bridge crew worked efficiently at their stations. No one showed fear despite being drastically outnumbered. They trusted their ship. They trusted their captain. Look at this, said Science Officer Lee, pointing to new data on his screen. Energy readings from their vessels are increasing. They're charging weapon systems. Park stood up, straightening her uniform. So much for waiting until the deadline. She walked to the center of the bridge. Open a channel to the Lyran command ship. Communications Officer Subin Lee nodded. Channel open, Captain. Lyran vessels, Park said firmly, her voice carrying across space to the alien fleet. This is your final warning. We have no desire for conflict. Our mission is peaceful exploration. Withdraw now, and we can discuss proper diplomatic relations between our peoples. For a moment, there was silence. Then Commander Krasvik's face appeared on the screen. His scales had shifted to a deep crimson color, a sign of aggression. Park guessed. Your time runs short, human, the alien commander said. Yet you still speak as if you hold any power in this situation. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Your arrogance will be your epitaph. Not arrogance, Park replied calmly. Just confidence in what we know. Please reconsider. Krasvik's wide mouth opened, showing rows of sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. The Lyran Empire does not reconsider. The Lyran Empire conquers. The screen went dark. Captain, Choi called out urgently. They're firing. Park returned to her chair and sat down calmly. Defensive matrix active. Let them make the first move. Across the void of space, brilliant streams of energy erupted from the Lyran ships. Plasma bolts, energy beams, and strange particles all converged on the lone human vessel. The barrage was overwhelming, a dazzling display that lit up space like a newborn star. Any conventional ship would have been vaporized instantly under such an assault. The bridge crew watched through the view screen as the weapons fire approached, and then made contact with their hull. But instead of explosions or damage, something remarkable happened. The adaptive defense matrix activated. A subtle shimmer appeared around the Invictus as the energy weapons struck. Rather than destroying the ship, the energy seemed to flow across its surface in beautiful dancing patterns of light. The matrix absorbed the attack, channeling the hostile energy into the ship's own power systems. On the bridge, not even a tremor was felt. The lights didn't flicker. No alarms sounded. It was as if they were watching a harmless light show rather than an attack meant to destroy them. Status report, Park requested calmly, though she already knew the answer. Officer Jian Quan checked her readings, then looked up with a small smile. Shields at 99.8%, Captain. Minimal energy expenditure. The matrix is operating perfectly. Power reserves? Park asked. Actually increasing. Engineer Kang replied with a hint of satisfaction in her voice. We're capturing and storing their weapon energy. Power reserves now at 124% of standard capacity. Outside, the Lyran attack continued. More weapons fired, more energy was directed at the Invictus, and still, the human ship remained completely unharmed. On the Lyran command ship, confusion reigned. Commander Krasvik stared at his displays in disbelief. How is this possible? He demanded, his scales flashing between colors and agitation. Continue the attack. All ships, maximum firepower. His officers scrambled to comply, but the results remained the same. The small human vessel simply absorbed everything they threw at it. Our weapons have no effect, reported a Lyran officer, his voice trembling. The human ship shows no damage at all. Back on the Invictus, Captain Park watched the continued assault with calm interest. She let it continue for several minutes, giving the Lyrans time to realize the futility of their attack. I think they've made their point, she finally said. And we've made ours. Let's respond. She stood up and faced her crew. Prepare the causality inversion array. It's time to show the Lyran Empire exactly what they're dealing with. The Lyran attack continued, their weapons pouring enough energy into space to destroy a small moon. Yet the Invictus remained untouched, the adaptive defense matrix absorbing every blast, like a calm ocean swallowing raindrops. Captain Park watched the light show for another moment, then straightened in her chair. The time for patience had passed. Enough, she said quietly. Her crew turned to her, awaiting orders. They've made their choice. Now they'll learn what that choice means. She turned to Weapons Officer Shinoba. Tactical, prepare the causality inversion array. Target their command vessels only. Baz's fingers danced across his console, activating systems that existed in no other fleet in known space. The causality inversion array was humanity's greatest defensive weapon, a system that temporarily altered the rules of physics in a targeted area. Charging the array, Bay reported, his voice steady despite the enormity of what they were about to do. Green lights flickered across his console as the weapon powered up. The bridge hummed with a deep, almost musical tone as energy flowed through special conduits built into the ship's structure. Unlike the crude plasma weapons of the Lyran fleet, this weapon used no projectiles, no beams, just pure manipulation of space-time itself. Array charged and ready, Captain, Bay announced, looking up from his station. Park nodded. Fire. Bay pressed his hand against the activation panel. There was no dramatic recoil, no bright flash from the ship. Instead, a pulse of energy, almost invisible to the naked eye, emanated from the Invictus. It spread outward like a ripple in a pond, moving faster than any conventional weapon. Through the view screen, the crew watched as space itself seemed to ripple around the Lyran ships. For a brief moment, reality itself looked fluid, as if someone had dropped a stone into the fabric of the universe. The effect lasted only seconds. When it cleared, the Lyran ships appeared unchanged, but something was very different. Target effect confirmed, reported Science Officer Lee, studying his readings. Causality field established around all 33 vessels. Their weapons? Park asked. Offline. Lee replied with a satisfied nod. The array has temporarily altered the physical laws in their vicinity. Their energy weapons can't function within the field. On the screens, they could see the Lyran ships still trying to fire. Weapon ports glowed with energy, but no shots emerged. It was as if the ships were suddenly trapped in invisible amber. The Lyran continued to fire, unaware that the laws of physics themselves had been rewritten around their vessels. Their confusion was evident as ship after ship attempted to launch attacks that simply couldn't happen within the causality field. Communication from the Lyran flagship, reported Officer Suvin Lee. They're demanding to know what we've done. No response needed, Park said calmly. They'll understand soon enough. She turned back to Ba. Proceed with second phase. Bai nodded. Targeting systems locked on engine sections of all vessels. Precision strikes ready. Fire, Park ordered again. This time, the Invictus did fire visible weapons, thin, blue-white beams that shot out with perfect accuracy. Each beam struck a Lyran ship precisely where its main propulsion system was located. There were no explosions, no dramatic destruction, just surgical precision. Strikes complete, Bay reported. All targets hit exactly as planned. Science Officer Lee studied his readings. Engine systems on all Lyran vessels are now offline. Their power cores are intact but isolated. They're dead in space, Captain. Park nodded, satisfied. And their weapons systems? Still blocked by the causality field, Lee confirmed. They can't fight, and they can't flee. The tactical display showed all 33 Lyran ships now floating helplessly in space. What had been a mighty armada just minutes ago was now little more than floating metal, and not a single life had been lost. Engineer Kang checked her timepiece. Total engagement time, 3 minutes and 47 seconds from first shot to complete neutralization. The bridge was silent as the crew took in what they had just accomplished. 33 warships, the pride of a conquering empire, neutralized in less than 4 minutes by a single vessel. Communications, Park said, breaking the silence. What are they saying to each other? Subin Lee listened to the transmissions flowing between the Lyran ships, her eyes widening. Panic, Captain. Complete panic. Their communications are filled with confusion. Many are demanding to know what happened, others are calling for help. She looked up. Some are calling it magic or divine punishment. Park allowed herself a small smile. Not magic. Just science they don't understand yet. She stood up. Open a channel to Commander Krasvik's ship. On the Lyran command vessel, chaos reigned. Officers rushed from station to station, desperately trying to restore power to weapons and engines. Commander Krasvik's scales had faded to a sickly gray color as he struggled to comprehend what had happened. What did they do to us? He demanded of his chief engineer. How can one ship disable our entire fleet? Unknown, Commander, the engineer replied, his voice shaking. Our weapons try to fire, but the energy, it just disappears, and our engines are completely dead. Incoming transmission from the human vessel, reported a communications officer. Krasvik's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. For the first time in his military career, he felt something he had never expected to feel again. Fear. The Invictus floated silently among the disabled Lyran fleet. 33 massive warships hung powerless in space, like fish caught in an invisible net. The bridge crew of the human vessel moved efficiently at their stations, monitoring the alien ships. Open a channel, Captain Park ordered, standing tall in the center of the bridge. Communications Officer Subin Lee nodded. Channel open, Captain. The main screen flickered to life. Supreme Commander Krasvik appeared, but he was very different from the confident, threatening alien they had seen earlier. His scales had lost their bright colors and turned a sickly pale gray. His 4 eyes darted nervously around, as if looking for some escape. How? The alien commander struggled to find words. This is impossible. Captain Park faced the screen calmly. Your fleet has been neutralized without casualties. All your ships are disabled but intact. Your crews are unharmed. She paused to let this sink in. I will be boarding your vessel in 1 hour to discuss terms. Krasvik's mouth opened and closed several times before he managed to speak. You? With what army? Park smiled slightly. I don't need an army, Commander. I think we've shown that quite clearly. 2 hours later, Captain Park walked through the corridors of the massive Lyran command ship. She was accompanied only by Science Officer Lee and Security Chief Ba. The Lyran crew pressed themselves against the walls as the humans passed, their scales shifting through colors that expressed fear and awe. In the Grand Command Chamber, Supreme Commander Krasvik waited with his senior officers. The room was designed to intimidate visitors with its massive size and harsh lighting. But today, It was the small group of humans who commanded respect. "Please, sit," Park said, gesturing to the alien's own conference table. The fact that she was giving orders on their ship was not lost on the Lyran officers. As they settled around the table, Krasvik found his voice again. "Your technology, it defies understanding. How can one ship defeat 33? It breaks all rules of warfare." "That's exactly the point," Park replied. "We don't fight by the same rules anymore. We couldn't afford to." She nodded to Officer Lee, who activated a small projector. Images appeared in the air between them. Earth cities in ruins, massive battles, and finally, strange alien ships attacking an already wounded planet. 10 years ago, humans fought each other in what we call the resource wars, Park explained. We nearly destroyed ourselves over what remained of our planet's resources. And then, when we were at our weakest, we faced our first alien contact. The images showed brutal attacks on Earth cities. They thought we would be easy prey, a planet of savages who had nearly wiped themselves out. They were wrong. New images appeared, human ships fighting back, developing new technologies with desperate speed. Facing extinction, humanity achieved what might have taken centuries otherwise. We developed technologies based on principles your science hasn't discovered yet. Krasvik and his officers watched in silence, their scales shifting between colors of disbelief and dawning understanding. "We were not your first contact with aggressive species," Park explained, her voice firm but not unkind. "But I hope we will be your last. The galaxy doesn't need more conquerors. It needs civilizations that can work together." Later that day, Park returned to the Invictus. Behind her, the Lyran fleet was slowly regaining power, enough to return home, but with weapons systems still disabled. "Message from Earth Command," reported Officer Suvin Lee. "They congratulate us on resolving the situation without casualties." Park nodded. "Send our full report, and let them know we've established initial diplomatic contact with the Lyran Empire. I believe they'll be much more interested in trade than conquest going forward." Days later, on the Lyran homeworld, Emperor Traz sat on his ornate throne. Before him, a recording played, showing his Pride of the Empire fleet being disabled by a single human vessel in less than 4 minutes. His advisors stood nervously, waiting for the rage that would surely come. But Emperor Traz was not a fool. He had not built an empire of 12 systems by ignoring reality. "Cancel the expansion directives," he ordered quietly. The advisors looked at each other in shock. "But Emperor, surely we can build more ships, develop new." One began. "No," Traz cut him off. "Did you not see? This is not about numbers. They have moved beyond conventional technology." He stood from his throne. "Prepare a diplomatic delegation instead. I want to know everything about these humans, their worlds, their culture, their sciences." He looked once more at the frozen image of the Invictus, small but undefeated. The age of Lyran expansion through conquest is over. A new age begins today. Throughout the galaxy, word spread quickly. A mighty battle fleet had challenged a single human vessel and lost almost instantly. Species that had feared the Lyran Empire now whispered new stories, stories about humans and their impossible technology. A simple message echoed across trading posts and diplomatic centers of 100 worlds. "Challenge humans at your peril. The end